Hey, what's up guys? This is Bryce VanHoosen, and on this week's episode of My Guitar Mods, we are talking about this 2019 Jackson Concorde Pro series. I've gotten a lot of questions about this, and I think a lot of people have probably been waiting for me to post this one because a lot of people are really interested in the new, for 2019, Concorde shape that Jackson has just kind of relaunched. So, here it is. This was my first official guitar given to me from the wonderful team over at Jackson, including Mike Tempesta, for being a Jackson artist. So, again, just want to thank everybody over there for the support. It really means a lot to me. Yeah, it's awesome. I still can't believe it. So this one caught my attention almost immediately when I went into the Jackson booth at NAMM 2019. A new Concorde in the Pro Series, so neck through design, and you get mahogany wings, maple neck, ebony fretboard, and this really caught my fancy. Of course, you know, being a huge fan of Randy Rhoads, this was kind of the first version 1 of what would later become the Randy Rhoads model officially, so it's quite a bit different in shape. It kind of juts out a little bit more, and it's not as condensed. It's a much bigger guitar than the actual RR model is. So one really awesome thing about this guitar is the fact that they put this extended cutaway here, and that was the big problem with the original Concorde, was that there wasn't actually any kind of cutaway here. So it was just, you know, if you look at like the bass side or whatever, your hand trying to come over that, no thank you. So that's why they went back to the drawing board, Randy Rhoads and Grover Jackson and Mike Shannon, and came up with the actual RR model. But this one, I believe Joe Williams, the master builder over at Jackson, designed this cutout so that you could get your, you know, fingers up to the 24th fret super easy, and it's real comfortable. I play this guitar live all the time. I pretty much used it almost exclusively this year for all of the Silver Talent shows in 2019, and I've had zero problems. It's just, it's amazing. It really fits nice, and I love that part of it. Alright, so let's get into some of the modifications that I made to this. Nothing super major was done to this, but we just kind of swapped out some of the hardware components and the electronics and all that kind of stuff. So, starting with this is just a basic Floyd Rose 1984 model, so you get the brass fine tuners, the Floyd Rose screw-in arm like I like. And one thing that I didn't do is, usually it comes with kind of the wood screw Floyd Rose posts. I didn't do that. I just got some made in Germany Floyd Rose posts and dropped those in instead. I kind of feel like that's my preferred way to do it, but I've never actually used the wood screws, so let me know if you think those are better. Moving on to the electronics. Again, master volume here, 3-way switch, and then a master RPC control here, so that just kind of makes both of these sound a little bit more like a single coil, which is really nice for leads to kind of cut through a little bit more, or if you're doing cleans, it's obviously great because the EMGs can be a little bit hot, and so with my 6534, you're getting still is somewhat distorted no matter how clean you get, so that really helps. For this, we have, of course, no pickup rings because we're direct mount here, but I have a EMG 66 brushed chrome in the neck, which I think is probably my favorite EMG neck pickup, if I'm going to be totally honest, and I have to pick sides here. And then, trying out kind of something different, I went with the James Hetfield bridge pickup, so matching that with the 66. The Hetfield bridge is awesome because it sounds kind of like if you took an 81, an EMG 81, and you sort of mashed it together with a 57. So you get something that's a little bit more focused than the 57, which is kind of big, but it still doesn't feel necessarily as focused as the 81, it's just slightly bigger. So I really like it, and I think that, you know, I'll probably use this pickup to record the next Silver Talent album with, because it just records really well. I feel like all the frequencies that you kind of want to hear are there. So it's also a little bit less output than the 57, which is sort of surprising. When I record it direct into my computer, I noticed the wave kind of comes back a little bit less all over the place, so it might be maybe a little bit more compressed, but something with a little bit less output can be kind of easier to work with, if I'm being completely honest. The knobs I swapped out for kind of these silver satin knobs that I sort of had laying around. I think they look real nice, and we have the bullet metal switch tip here again. That's Another one of my kind of favorite go-to modifications to make. So then moving to the back, my philosophy with this guitar was a little bit different from some of the other Floyd Rose equipped guitars that I have. You'll notice there's this additional piece of hardware in here, and this is actually what's called an arming adjuster made by ESP, actually. So I had to order this straight from Japan, and basically what this will do is it provides just a little bit of a block on the back, so it stabilizes the block a little bit more so that you're not fully floating. That means that I can basically change tunings and kind of go down to drop C or D standard, depending on what song I'm at. So I can technically use this guitar for an entire set. D standard, drop C, doesn't matter. The cool thing about this versus, you know, just the standard block like I have on my Dinky Reverse is that it, in addition to letting you go down, which you'll always be able to do that with a Floyd Rose, I feel like, it lets you come back and you can go up with it. So you could do your whammy pull-ups and dime bag squealy kind of stuff, no problem. The only thing that you can't really do with this, which is why I feel like I prefer guitars not to have it, but for the utility of being able to switch tunings, you know, that's, you kind of have to make sacrifices. But you can't really do like the Andy LaRock flutter boing thing, which I kind of do, maybe a little bit too much in like all of my solos. But whatever, you know, you can get into kind of manipulating the bar however you want live, and I don't think people will call you out too much on it. So switching between tunings is the name of the game with this thing. I feel like it also kind of changes the tone a little bit and kind of gives it more of like a non-recessed Floyd Rose tone. Like it just has kind of like a little bit more top end. When you're fully floating, I feel like some of that is kind of lost. Again, using a Stone Tone Floyd Rose block, all granite. These things are awesome. Check them out for sure. And then just normal 3 black noiseless springs. Usually I use the 2 red ones, but that's only because I like the way that that kind of reacts with the flutter. For this, I don't have to worry about that, so let's go ahead and use 3 of them there. It really does make tuning a little bit easier, especially when you're on the road going through different ecospheres and that sort of thing. Moving up to the headstock here, I replaced the nut with a standard Floyd Rose made in Germany nut. Again, that was just something that kind of dropped in there. No additional woodwork that needed to be done. And then of course, going with the Godot locking tuners 3 in line. I love these things. They make my life a lot easier. You know, I'm sure everybody's watching these videos and it's like, why does he keep using locking tuners on a locking nut? Go out and get yourself some locking tuners and tell me it's not infinitely easier than just wrapping a string across a post and waiting for it to settle and all that kind of stuff. I don't have time for that. And then again, putting the Floyd Rose tool set on the back of the neck because these don't come standard with that. So that's a real easy mod, and I think it makes life a lot easier when you're trying to make quick adjustments to your Floyd Rose. Yeah, so that's really about it. This guitar is awesome. It plays great. Weight-wise, it's kind of a lot heavier in the body than any of the other King Vs that I have. It definitely feels like there's more material here. The neck is real nice. The profile on it is kind of similar to the King V Pro that I have. I feel like it's probably just kind of a standard neck profile that's coming out of the Indonesian shop. Again, you know, not painted neck, so you're sliding real easy on this thing. One thing for the future that I might request of Jackson to change is usually on the King Vs and the Rhodes, they put the input jack somewhere up here, which is nice. It keeps it out of the way, but to keep things consistent with how they were historically, if you look at old pictures of Randy Rhodes, you'll see that his input jack was down here. I think that there was probably a reason why they decided to move it to the top on the V2 of the Rhodes model. So, I don't know. If there was one thing that I would change on this, it would probably be that. I'd probably put it there. But, I mean, wiring it with EMGs and having that input jack kind of on the side down here made things a lot easier. Usually you have to run kind of like a foot of cable from one wing to the other, which is not always the best, but so, I don't know, take it or leave it, I guess. But yeah, it's just kind of, if you're playing Vs all day and you're used to plugging in up here and then you get this one and you're like, oh, I gotta go down here now, it just feels weird. But no bother. Anyway, I totally recommend getting this guitar. I think it's fantastic, and you should go out and buy one. And I hope that Jackson continues to make more badass Concorde models. All right, so that's it. That's all my guitars, at least until I go to NAMM this next year, NAMM 2020. Haven't got my pass yet, but I'll be there. So yeah, in that case, since we're done with this series of videos on YouTube, let me know what you want to see next. Do you want me to do some lesson videos? Do you want me to do some VST reviews? You know, I think there's a lot of that stuff. I got a lot of those. That might be kind of cool. Let me know what you want to see. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I sincerely appreciate it. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on this particular video series, so it's been awesome. All right, well, I'm Bryce VanHoosen, and I will see you next time. Thanks.